I've said it before, don't do murder. Like, there's plenty of other solutions. Don't kill your spouse. Wrong answer. But if you decide you want to go ahead and move forward against my advice, the very least you could do is make sure she doesn't have a super secret Instagram account, because that might burn you to the ground. I believe this is part 20 in my coverage of the Larry Millete trial that's taking place in Chula Vista, California. I'm going to talk about days 17 and 18. I'm sorry, it's been a couple days since I've checked in. Days 17 and 18 of the trial, which would have been Tuesday and Wednesday of this previous week. Okay, so day 17, the jury got to see an FBI tactical specialist named Amy Anaya. And she was kind of walking them through the photos that were collected in the home. Now, these photos were taken in October of 2021. This is actually the day that Larry was arrested, but they went into the home and they took all of these different pictures of the conditions of the home. One of the things she focused on was that there was a photo of Maya's purse, ID, credit cards, all left behind. Remember, the defense has said that Maya ran off somewhere, that she just up and left her life behind and disappeared. And they're saying, well, her purse, her ID, and her credit cards were all left behind. Then there was a Chula Vista police forensic specialist named Tara Vinn. She talked about 2 glass vials that were confiscated in the home that were containing plant material. She also talked about handwritten notes that were found in the home, and then photos of spell books and candles that Larry was using to try to cast spells against his wife. Employees from the FBI testified about those 2 glass vials. They had been sent to their lab in Quantico for testing. They received them in June of 2023 and then returned the results a year later. The FBI forensic chemist named Jennifer Mitchell, she testified that one of the vials came back positive for, I think it's pronounced quinine. This is it up here. It is a poisonous chemical compound. 2 different techniques were done when testing the contents of this vial. She said that one came positive and one came negative. Now, they were able to establish the negative does not outweigh the positive, but she does wish that, sure, it would be nice if those 2 things aligned. On day 18, we discovered that Maya had a secret Instagram account. And the man, Matthew Grinley, this is a photo of him. This is taken at the preliminary trial. So this is not a recent photo, but this is when he testified in the preliminary. He's an investigator with the San Diego County DA's office. So here's what he testifies, that this Instagram account is used. There's a vast number of messages, and they go back and forth between Maya and her affair partner, Jamie Laird. One of the messages, and this is a direct quote, "I think Larry, my husband, is poisoning me." She tells Jamie Laird that. This account was created in February of 2020. So this was created 11 months before Maya went missing. There were privacy protections in place. So she turned on all the privacy protections so no one could see what she was putting. And she did not allow any followers. So this account didn't have a single follower. She was basically using it, according to Grinley, as somewhat of like a personal diary. And then she used this to DM or a private message with Jamie Laird through Instagram. Grinley was able to find the messages, and he said, and here's what he testified to, quote, "They were sexual in nature." Second quote, "They were also very emotional." These texts were not shown to the jury on day 18. I have a feeling we're going to come back to that when Jamie Laird is on the stand, and he will introduce them and explain why they were talking about the things they were talking about. But anyway, the main reason for this account was for Maya to have a private diary, according to the police. She wrote lengthy messages to herself, which often contained the iMessages. So she would often screenshot the text messages or iMessages that she was exchanging with Larry, and she would put them on this Instagram page where no one could see them. It was just her private diary. If you want my opinion, I think she's using this to collect proof against her husband if anything were to happen to her, because she did tell a couple of people, if anything happens to me, it's Larry. So I think she's using this private space on Instagram to collect evidence against him. One of the screenshots was from an argument that they'd had in 2020, where Maya wrote, and this is a quote, "I can't wait to get away from this toxicity that you create." So then they had another warrant where they pulled emails from Maya's Yahoo account. And there was also lengthy, what they considered diary entries in her emails too. So probably draft emails that never got sent to anybody, just her emailing herself. And on Christmas Eve in 2020, she wrote to herself, and I've got this photo up here. You can pause to read it. But essentially, she's telling herself, he's never going to change. leave. Like she's telling herself, just leave, talking herself into it. Then they had emails where there were more plans that she was making. Again, if the prosecution can prove that Maya had planned to live a life beyond the divorce with Larry, right? She didn't run away. She had plans. And one of the plans was that she was going to go to graduate school. So there was evidence in the emails that she was planning to attend graduate school. Then there were appointments that she was setting up with divorce attorneys, which would have been after the date that she disappeared, and she never showed up to those appointments. We also had an FBI biologist come in and testify about the samples. There were 2 different type of plant samples in one of those vials. And so he said within the same vial, there was a product called hairy fleabone, which I'd never heard of that. It is a non-lethal plant, but mixed in with there were also samples of this conine, which is a deadly toxin found in the plant called poison hemlock. He said it was very difficult to do DNA sequencing on all of the particles within that vial because some were just so small you couldn't possibly get a sample from. Then they bring in Dr. Frank Cantrell, who is a highly respected toxicologist in the state of California. He comes in and tells us that this conine is a super toxin. It causes the body's nervous system to go into high gear. It spikes the blood pressure. It causes convulsions, nausea, vomiting, tremors, and profuse sweating. And then he says, quote, "There is no commercial use and there is no legitimate use whatsoever for it." On cross-examination of both the FBI biologist and this Dr. Cantrell, what we learn is that both of these plants can grow in nature side by side. So if there are samples of both of them in the same vial, it's possible because they've grown naturally together in nature and they were captured in the same vial. I also think that this might be one of the reasons that when Quantico was testing them, they pulled one particle out, it was positive, they pull another particle out, it's negative. It could be because hairy fleabone and conine are mixed together in the same vial. That's me suspecting that. I don't know that that was ever said in court, but that's what I feel like. I think if you test a piece and it's positive and you test a piece and it's negative and those are both from the same vial, it could be because these 2 plants are mixed together in that same vial. That's my logic. I'm back because we've got some Border Patrol agents that are going to testify and the children's tutor, who was the very last person to come and go from that house the day that Maya disappeared.